So let us take a look at the pieces of this emotional system. This is going to be the mental health and physical health. The trick here with emotional health and these things being put together, this being the system of emotion, if you will, is that the mental health aspect has to deal with feedback both from the physical body, if you will, the physical experience, and the emotional experience. From these two separate things, we are still solving for the exact same conclusion, which is what the mind is supposed to do. It's supposed to come up with that solution. But they can be conflicting if the emotional, let's say, language is unclear, right? The body speaks very definitely. It does not change its opinion on things. It is what is needed to sustain health through our life or way of physical living. If we do something that causes us to get cut, it hurts. It does not hurt. Therefore, we need to find a solution to it. It's very much sensation based and very present. Therefore, it's easy for us to see this as it is the interaction of our cells with our environment externally. However, we can say there's the same internal version which happens emotionally also from the senses, in the sense of all things outside of the body creating sense information, this going into the body, then the emotions more or less putting that all together and saying, is this thing life promoting or life denying, if you will. In that sense, we then have the brain trying to come to the right conclusion. But don't worry, if it comes to the wrong conclusion, the body, i.e., experience, will show you such. However, if we make or dysregulate the emotional clarity of that system, its ability to process sense information into health solutions, then we end up finding out that it's not health promoting, right? You can work out every day. It's great in a sense. At some point, your body will start to ache and start to deteriorate. This is what's physically happening. At some point, your emotions would say, this is not good for me. However, our mind might be say, well, we heard that. Exercising twice a week is good, so exercising 7 days a week must be amazing. See how that's a conclusion. However, the body will start to say otherwise a lot quicker because the body's on the right page, right? It's very hard to stare it off the right page. Probably impossible. But the emotions also on the same page, be like, well, this is not good. However, the mental solution of what we hold to be greater than the emotional kind of statement is that I know this is good, so I'm going to continue. And when we do that, we end up learning the truth of the matter. This doesn't particularly mean that we will correct that emotional intensity on the side of I must work out 7 days a week. However, it is a strong point to the opposite of what we thought to be true. Now, if we put that self-reflection in there, which is extremely important to the kind of balancing out, I'd say, of the health systems, or of this health system containing of mental, physical, and emotional, then we do well. We wouldn't have to run so far in the wrong direction to figure out that, hey, it's going the wrong way, which is fine. We've had our experience from here. We're going to use this experience to then make health even stronger because now we know this stuff. We just don't have a well-organized way of processing health this way. A very good way of putting it that I found, I heard, I should say, is from Schopenhauer, where he makes the kind of general assumption or statement that a large library full of books but in disorder is not as powerful as a smaller library well organized. Right? The point being that we should slow down enough to organize our mental libraries and really go through the mental, physical, and emotional experiences that are happening so that we can make sounder decisions, solutions based on health of us being humans. So all humans then with this same way of solving would come to a healthy life. It might express differently in different ways because we are unique and we can create, and that's one of our highest abilities. But nevertheless, health for one is not the lack of health for another when it comes to the emotional system and the physical system. Therefore, meaning the mental system as well. All right. So that all being said, these are the components of it. We are always saying in this model that the body is solving for health or a healthy environment. We then have to make a few distinctions on how do we perceive health to be. There would be a change to kind of our standard way of looking at it. We would think that now, because we're putting that reflection part in there, that health has a pace. So we'd say that if you run really, really quickly through the woods, you won't be able to see much, right? Therefore, this kind of being the example, the parallel of the fact that you cannot take in much health moving at a fast pace because health is slower. Then we say, well, we slowly saunter through the woods. We might never get to where we're going. There's too much to take in. Therefore, if we just walk kind of, let's say, at the pace of nature, then we actually can take in lots of information and still walk at the pace needed to sustain health. And on top of that, after our walk is completed, let's say for the day, then we can integrate that information, meaning the next time that we walk through the woods at the pace of nature, we're able to have an even greater experience because we've solidified that part of our library, and now we can expand even greater than it was before. This is what we mean by that kind of crossover, how the emotional health environment is a little bit different than what we would say the more external version of what we see health to be. The words themselves, I'd say, if we think of the words themselves of health, nutrition, and healthy living, we see multiple versions of this thing. However, there's only one version. These might be different expressions, but to the point that they are integrated into the individual is the actual benefit towards health in the first place. So we'd say again, to reiterate, that the mental, physical, and emotional system are part of the kind of self-care model, which is the navigating of these different environments to come to the solution that is health promoting. So just because the environments are there doesn't mean that we are kind of streamlined it or have organized our library enough to navigate it in a kind of succinct way. And I think this is what we're aiming for when we talk about self-care and we gain a further knowledge of the emotional health system.